विशाल सिंह जी। Now, may I request our distinguished guests and dignitaries to inaugurate today's program with the lighting of the auspicious lamp. This sacred ritual signifies the dispelling of darkness and the pursuit of knowledge. Request our dignitaries, please. I request everyone to rise for the national song, and I invite Richa Vishwakarma ji to come to the dais.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujalam Sukhalam, Malayaj Sheetalam, Sasya Shamalam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhra Jyotsa Pulkitayamini, Punya Kusumita Drupakal Shobhini, Suhasini Sumadhur Bhashini, Sukhdam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Koti Koti Kantha Kal Kal Ninad Karale, Koti Koti Bhujai Dhrit Khar Karvale, Abla ke namat bale, Bahubal Dharini Namami Tarini, Ripudal Varini Mataram, Vande Mataram. Tumi Vidya, Tumi Nana, Tumi Riddhi, Tumi Marma, Tvam hi Prana Sharire, Bahute Tumi Ma Shakti, Hridaye Tumi Ma Bhakti, Tumarai Prathama Gadi, Mandire Mandire, Vande Mataram, Tvam hi Durga, Dashgraharan Dharini, Kamala Kamal Dal Viharini, वाणी विद्यादायिनी नमामि त्वां नमामि कमला अमला अतुला सुजलां सुफलां मातरं वन्दे मातरं श्यामलां सरलां सुस्मितां भूषितां धरणीं भरणीं मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरम्
I request Rishikesh Haridas ji, Aditya Kashyap ji, Sampa Singh Gupta ma'am to felicitate Honorable Mr. Justice S.V.N. Bhatti sir. Let us have a huge round of applause, please. I now request Gautam Singh sir, Gobind sir, and Manisha Pandey ma'am to felicitate Shri C.S. Vaidyanathan sir. I would now request and call upon Nachiket Joshi sir, Senior Advocate, to kindly give the opening remarks.
सभी को नमस्कार. Good evening. It's a pleasure to see so many people in such large gathering for this function on the Constitution Day. Today we have all gathered commemorate the adoption of the Indian Constitution on the 26th of November 1949. Constitution has always been considered as the living document. Constitution has therefore inhaled new societal needs and adjudicates on the normative constitutional legitimacy of such issues, and concurrently exhales outdated ideas by adopting to the ever-changing circumstance. While the inhale could represent the stability and the core principles of our Constitution that are absorbed and internalized by the nation through the rigors of procedure established by law. The exhale could therefore be necessary process of amendment, interpretation, and legal challenges that allow it to be adopted to new realities and release the tension, preventing it from becoming rigid and irrelevant. So when Granville Austin described the Indian Constitution as an accommodative constitution because of its use of consensus building and accommodation to balance the diverse and conflicting interests. He distinguished accommodation from simple compromise, viewing it as a process of reconciling viewpoints to find a third way, and not a mere mechanical 50-50 split, reinforcing the idea that the Indian Constitution's spirit lies in its ability to unify rather than divide, even in the face of diverging views of a subject matter. Dattopant Thengde ji, in his book on the third way, about constitutional and legal system of this country has emphasized the importance of duty, the dharma, as the foundational element of national character and integrity, considering it crucial for the purpose of functioning of the society and for the success of any social or economic system. His views on fundamental duties stemmed from the Bharatiya thought process while prioritizing an internal and holistic approach to life and society as opposed to the Western compartmentalized thinking. This preference of dutifulness over a right-based approach where dutifulness should be in consonance with the national character has been the only reason why the civilizational ethos of this country are intact. With these thoughts for you to think about, I'll not take much more time because we have eminent speakers who will be here with us on the subject. As it's a Constitution Day, you've all been circulated with the preamble, and therefore let's revisit the preamble once again. We always do that, but it's sometimes very good for us to revisit the same. And therefore let's read the preamble again. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens, 1. Justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. So this Constitution has been given by ourselves, and therefore it is our prime duty. And it is this time now, after 75 years, that we now emphasize more on duties rather than our rights. With this opening remarks, I leave it open for the speakers who are there, with Honorable Justice Bhati also speaking, to put this subject open for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nachiket sir, for your words of wisdom. Although we know our esteemed dignitaries, as a matter of formal courtesy, it would be an honor to introduce them to you. Therefore, I request Richa Vishwakarma ji to briefly introduce Shri C.S. Vaidyanathan sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my esteemed honor to introduce Mr. C.S. Vaidyanathan sir. He is a distinguished senior advocate whose illustrious career exemplifies the highest standards of legal erudition and integrity. He was born and raised in Coimbatore. He obtained his law degree from the prestigious Madras Law College, and at a very young age of 21, he embarked on his legal journey. With over 5 decades of experience, he was designated as a senior advocate in 1990s, and his broad spectrum of domains of practice encompass constitutional law, administrative law, and certain regulatory issues in critical sectors such as power and telecommunications. Moreover, Sir has been a steadfast guardian of constitutional democracy, emphasizing the balance of rights and duties. He has represented the Union in numerous landmark judgments, including but not limited to the historical Ram Janmabhoomi case. His clarity of thought and unwavering dedication have earned his admiration across and beyond the legal fraternity, and that culminated into the prestigious Padma Shri award that he received this year. On behalf of this gathering, it is my distinct honor to extend a warm and respectful welcome to Mr. C.S. Vaidyanathan sir. We look forward to his insights and great anticipation.
Thank you, Richa ji. I now call upon our guest of honor, Shri C.S. Vaidyanathan sir, to kindly share his words of wisdom.
Namaskaram to all. I'm so happy to see so many faces, most of whom are familiar and we see every day in court. Good that all of you have been able to take time off from court and your conferences and coming up. Justice Bhatti, the distinguished office bearers of Adhivakta Parishad, my brother and sister lawyers. 75 years of Constitution and 33 years of Adhivakta Parishad, which I just learned from Justice Bhatti. It's a remarkable path that we have gone through, and as was just now mentioned, the Constitution is a living document and it is not made for 1 day or two or 1 year or two. And we have been able to successfully evolve it and shape it to our way of life, our requirements, and our path to the future. When we talk of Part 4A, subject of today, fundamental duties, there were several bad things that we experienced during emergency, but one good thing happened. That was introduction of Part 4A in the Constitution by the 42nd Amendment. And after the then Janata government came to power, then they were thinking of scrapping the entire 42nd Amendment. Mr. Shanti Bhushan prevailed on the leaders to retain Part 4A. And that's how we today have, even now, Part 4A on fundamental duties. It's therefore clear that there is a consensus of all the political parties, because it was the Congress party which had introduced in 1976 the 42nd Amendment and the Part 4A, and the parties which overwhelmingly came to power in 1977 after defeating Congress decided to retain that part of the amendment. This is a very salient aspect which we need to remember. It's an important aspect of history that we need to remember. Therefore, there is a consensus amongst all the political parties and amongst the people of India to retain this chapter. It can't just be in the book, it has to be practiced. When we talk of fundamental duties, it's just the obverse of the coin. One side has rights, the other side has duties. You can't have rights without the duties. And the duty is actually to respect the rights of others. When we talk of our right, that's fundamental. And when we talk of duties, it is a duty to respect the rights of others and to enable others to assert their rights and enjoy their rights fully. It's nothing other than that. Therefore, it's by practicing, adopting and practicing fundamental duties that we actually ensure that everybody in the country enjoys the fundamental rights. If we look at some of these fundamental duties which have been enshrined in the Constitution now, it's not something which needs to be actually cultivated and practiced. It has to be ingrained in each one of us. And it can't be the mere moral duty, it's actually part of the dharma of living. Because when we say every citizen of India has to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem, surely nobody who has any nationalistic, patriotic sense can differ from this. To cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. See, this, again, people have sacrificed so much during the freedom struggle. They put the country before self. Today, unfortunately, this is something which is lacking. We are putting self before the society, the community, and the nation. This has to change. I think that is what is contemplated and what needs to be emphasized to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. If we look back in the history of the Constitution, of constitution making, there was an amendment carried out extensively to Article 19 in 1963, the 16th Amendment Act. That was a time when there were some leaders in some states who were asserting what they claimed as autonomy, but what could have threatened the integrity of the country. And therefore, this amendment was carried out. And you would notice in Article 19.2, 19.3, etc., for each one of these, there was an amendment added to emphasize that any law could be made in the interest of the sovereignty and integrity of India. I do not want to name the particular state. Most of you know what I am referring to. It was keeping this in mind that the then government felt that there is a need to amend the Constitution and the right to, fundamental right, cannot extend in a manner that it can threaten the integrity and sovereignty of the country. And this was done. And Article 51A reinforces this by saying that every citizen shall uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. To defend the country and render national service when called upon to do so. I want to spend some time on this. Today, we have a young generation which is focused so much on self-interest. I think a time has come when it is necessary to make a law and to make it compulsory for every student without in any manner affecting his education or in any manner taking away the time that he will have to devote for education. For every student to spend some time in national service. I am not talking about conscription and going to the frontiers. In fact, some countries have enacted law for that purpose. Israel is a notable one. There are several other countries, even in Europe, which have mandated conscription. I am not advocating that. But service. And there are several people who are born and grow up in urban centers who have no idea of what living in rural areas in India is. It is essential that some time is set apart by the students because we have to inculcate the sense of fundamental duties, the importance of fundamental duties, the need to practice fundamental duties, and no better time than at the impressionable age of students. Now, when, in my view, that's only a thought, there may be several other views, it is for the academics, the experts who are to consider it, but I feel after the students give their 10th exam or the 12th exam, normally the exams take place in February or early March, and the next course normally starts in July. I believe it will not be affecting their studies if a month each is taken after giving their exam for the 10th or 12th as part of the national curriculum or as part of a requirement for national service for every student to make a choice in regard to rendering some public service, living in areas which they would otherwise not experience, and experience what life is in those parts, and also understand the significance of being part of a society, of a community, and making an effective contribution to the country. I feel that we now need to make a law to ensure that this fundamental duty of rendering national service should be undertaken. Then we come to the next, to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional or sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. You have been listening to Bhagwat Ji speaking about this, emphasizing this in the recent past. You have been listening to the Honorable Prime Minister also speaking about this. I think this is a very, very important thing. We have over more than 2 millennia of known history in the country practiced this, and that is how we have been able to sustain the Sanatana Dharma within the country, notwithstanding incursion of various other religions. Sanatana Dharma has not merely survived but thrived. It's because of our ingrained spirit of accepting everybody as equals and allowing them to have their private religious beliefs, having multiple languages, cultures, and we have been, to use a culinary example, it is more like a salad bowl rather than avial. Avial, as most of you would understand, it is not as if they are all mixed together and gets a common identity. Each separate identity of each one is retained. It's a salad bowl, it's a mosaic that we retain. And this is something which we must consciously practice. Yes, commonality in thought in regard to patriotism, nationalism, but separate, we must each preserve our language, culture. That's needed. Though there could be some commonality, but we have always had these different identities in regard to language, culture, religion, and that should be continued. Then we have the to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. That again speaks about this composite culture. It is not one single culture, but a composite culture. To protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Some laws have been enacted in regard to this, including Air Act, Water Act, all these, and Forest Protection, Reserve Forests, Forest Act, Conservation of Forests. We need to strictly monitor enforcement of these acts, to develop scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. This is in today's context, this fundamental duty is of the greatest significance. The spirit of inquiry has always been part of our culture. That is how we had some of the finest educational institutions which is based on the spirit of inquiry, the curiosity, the natural curiosity of men asking questions. That is how, even in ancient times, if we are so advanced in astronomy, in mathematics, in several other fields of science, it is thanks to this. People, of course, today, everyone says that they hardly have any time. They have ample time for only looking at the WhatsApp messages or Facebook messages. But those days, there was no television, no movie, there was no WhatsApp, no telephone, and therefore, all the time, you could devote yourself to making these inquiries, searching for truth, and getting answers. That's how the ancient sages were able to develop their acute awareness, senses, and scientific advancement. Then we have to develop scientific temper, humanism, which is what I was talked about. Safeguard public property and abjure violence is very, very important, and it's not something which can be enforced only by law. It has to be by. Why is it that we need to prosecute people in regard to those who destroy public property? And this is happening in the name of political rallies also, which is unfortunate. In fact, the courts have had to come down heavily in regard to some of these things that's taking place. And this should be, when we talk of a duty, a moral conscience, a duty that has to be there, to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. It's not just individual excellence. Individual excellence is needed. Individual excellence is needed for the benefit of the society, for the benefit of the country. It's not everybody who can collectively advance science or mathematics or any of these aspects. Individual effort is needed. Individual excellence is needed. But that individual excellence, we have today, I don't know, I have slightly different view. There may be a different perception in regard to this. The so-called intellectual property has actually perverted this concept of sharing of intelligence. Tyagaraja or Dikshidhar or Shyama Sastry, when they composed, they never claimed intellectual property right, copyright. It's a public property, it's everybody's property. But today, you have persons claiming rights in regard to this. I have a difference of opinion, but of course, globally today there's a need for this. We need to recognize and then value the individual achievements and then give a premium, give them some monetary benefits in regard to the TC claim. But today what is happening, as you must be aware, when individuals excel and isolate some new compound or new pharmaceutical, it is the pharmaceutical companies which take advantage of it and not the individual who has actually developed it. That's unfortunate. It is the corporates who are getting the benefit of the intellectual property right today. I personally am of the view that there has to be a serious rethink in regard to this. Then, the last one which was added, every citizen who is a parent or guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child, or as the case may be, ward between the age of 6 and 14 years. This was an amendment which was made in 2010 when the right to education amendment was carried out, and then we introduced this also as a fundamental duty, and this is very, very important. Therefore, this recognizes a duty of a parent to provide education to his child. There has to be a corresponding duty also of the child to look after his old parents. That should have been added. So the courts are recognizing it. We have an eminent judge who is going to speak after this. I shouldn't be taking more time. I only want to emphasize that there is a need to create a national service corps, and every citizen of this country has to therefore encourage the children to become part of that, so that there is a growing consciousness, awareness of the fundamental duties apart from fundamental rights, and they will inculcate the spirit of duty to society, to the family, to the society, and to the nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience and guiding us. We are also joined by various senior advocates and senior members of the Adhivakta Parishad. We welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Retired D.V.S.S. Somya Raju, former judge of the Andhra Pradesh High Court. D. Bharat Kumar ji, he is the National General Secretary of the Akhil Bharatiya Adhivakta Parishad. Shri Hari Borikar ji, who is the North Zone Sanghatan Mantri of the Akhil Bharatiya Adhivakta Parishad. Archana Pathak Dave ma'am, who is an Additional Solicitor General of India. Sanjay Noli sir, who is a senior advocate practicing in the Supreme Court. Parvesh Khanna ji, who is the mentor of our organization Adhivakta Parishad. Joydeep Roy ji, who is looking after the work of Bharati Bhasha Abhiyan. Jivesh ji, who is the former General Secretary of the Delhi Prant of the Adhivakta Parishad. Rekha Pandey ma'am, who is our mentor. And Pragya Baghel ma'am, who is the Honorary Secretary of the Supreme Court Bar Association. I request everyone to kindly welcome them with a huge round of applause. Now, I request Rishikesh Haridas ji to briefly introduce Honorable Mr. Justice S.V.N. Bhatti, Judge, Supreme Court of India.
I feel honored to introduce Justice Bhatti to this august gathering. Honorable Justice Sarasa Venkata Narayana Bhatti was born on May 6, 1962. Justice Bhatti hails from Madanappalli in Chittoor district of Andhra Pradesh. He is a graduate in commerce and obtained law degree from the prestigious Jagadguru Renukacharya College, Bangalore. Justice Bhatti enrolled as an advocate in the year 1987. He started practice in the trial court of Madanappalli and later shifted to Andhra Pradesh High Court. Lordship was elevated to the Judge of High Court of Andhra Pradesh on 12th April 2013. He was thereafter transferred to Kerala High Court, where he became the Chief Justice of Kerala High Court on 1st June 2023. The state of Kerala is a beneficiary of Lordship's erudition in environmental jurisprudence. On 14 July 2023, Lordship sworn in as the Judge of Supreme Court of India. His popularity among the bar and the craft to go into the intricate details of every cases has been his hallmark and his identity. I request everybody to welcome him for this.
Thank you, Rishikesh ji. I now request and call upon our chief guest, Honorable Mr. Justice S.V.N. Bhatti, Judge, Supreme Court of India, to enlighten us and guide us. Sir.
Respected
senior advocate, P. C.S. Vaidyanathan Garu, and other learned senior advocates present in the audience, my affectionate reference to erstwhile colleague, P. Somyajal Garu, the distinguished executive committee members of Adhivakta Parishad, and also the enthusiastic members and participants of the Parishad present in the audience. Dear all, Namaste. Let me at the outset apologize for being late by a few minutes. Mistake is not mine. I was asked to leave my residence at 4:35. I religiously did at 4:35, but they started the function at 4:30. It added little glamour and encouragement to me in the sense that the moment I entered the auditorium, a few thoughts have come to my mind immediately. The first thought is that the odd hours for legal fraternity in a day are between 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. both this side and that side. The other odd hour is 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So far as the first schedule is concerned, about to go to court, we do not know what happens. The next slot is the day is over, we have to start for the next day. How it is going to go, we don't know. A wise man advised me not to disturb lawyers and judges in these two slots. Of course, I followed. See, having learned the truth of it, now I have to address a gathering in between 5:30 and 6. You can visualize my difficulty. But the attractive part of it is, after seeing the attendance in the auditorium, I thought the effort will not go waste. Whatever little I want to convey will definitely be received by the audience and will be taken forward. Ours is a profession which gives lot of respect to the seniority, staircases, and also precedent. My job is slightly rendered easy by learned senior advocate Sri C.S. Vaidyanathan Garu by fully covering Article 51A. If we go by the standard norm all of you follow, I can wind it up by saying I adopt that. Dear all, I had one more task when we were lighting the lamp. I can see all of you are slightly tired, not because of the day, because of the climate and pollution. To pull you back from the slumber, I have to make this little introduction. Now we are up to the topic, let us begin. This topic has been chosen by the Executive Committee of Adhivakta Parishad on my suggestion. At the outset, I thank them and appreciate their inclination to educate the fraternity on the responsibility of participating in the fundamental duties envisaged in Article 51A of the Constitution. Thanks to pollution, I had severe throat infection for 3 days. It gave me more time to reflect on what I should be speaking on this occasion. Several ideas were crossing the mind, and it was getting into larger framework where I would be testing the patience of the fraternity at this second limb of a day which is equally tedious and arduous. Normally at 3:45, you want to wind up an argument, you say, I will just complete in 10-15 minutes, but you will go up to 4:15. I assure you, I will not do that mistake. So I have broadly penned down a few ideas, which I may at the outset tell you, it is definitely in continuation or in line with already what the learned senior advocate of our Supreme Court has addressed. But what I am going to tell may be slightly loaded with little practicality, and the lines may contain deeper meanings for you to introspect and take the ideas forward. A few I should not be expressing, a few you may not like to hear, but the sentence is left in the air for you to observe and take it forward in whichever manner you can do it. I have borrowed 15 to 17 minutes from the executive committee. She is looking at me already by looking at the watch. I assure her that I will wind up the speech within the time taken by me from the executive committee. Adhivakta Parishad was founded in the year 1992. The members of the Parishad are primarily practicing lawyers, juries, academicians, and law officers working in a few corporations. I know this. Accepting the shared responsibility towards the Constitution, country, and the society, Adhivakta Parishad has set its objectives, among others, promote social justice, contribute to policy and research, protect human rights, and increase public engagement. The topic I would be either speaking or debating here is not far away from the objective already adopted and taken by Adhivakta Parishad. While accepting the invite to this discourse, I suggested to the executive committee members of Adhivakta Parishad to depart from the normal path and instead use it as a platform for group discussion of the topic. I am of the view that the group discussions are platforms that bring out the best in individuals. The discussions are useful for sharing knowledge and information from which emanate the streams of erudition and effort. Many a time in group discussions, we open up on our own to share our ideas and actually without realizing what we are up to and how idea is implemented successfully. On a philosophical note, all knowledge is reminiscence. Generally, the platform provides an opportunity to the members of the legal fraternity to discuss, deliberate, and decide on specific legal-centric issues, and through the discourse, enhance it to fundamental duties as well. Over the past 1 week, institutions have been organizing debates and seminars as a mark of celebration to the Constitution Day. Most of the topics of contemporary relevance might have been already covered by them. This forum, I am instinctively confident to believe that does not wish to live in the glory, but intends to live to make a glorious constitution and the country through its words and deeds. This takes us to know a few figures on economic scale, human rights, indicia, and methods and modes available in legal redressal system. Taking up sequentially, statistical data discloses that the GDP of our country in 1950-51 at $30.6 billion. The first annual budget represented was below rupees 200 crore, slightly less than 2 rupees per individual if we take the population of India today. The present parameters on the same indicia are $4.19 trillion, which is 137 times the GDP in the 1950s. And the budget outlay in the present year is rupees 50,65,345 crore. The audience made me wondering why the speaker is getting into statistics. Next paragraph will introduce you to the importance of adhering to the fundamental duties also. The data is stated to reflect on the progressive journey of our country. Between the 11th and 17th centuries, we suffered immense loss due to foreign invasions aimed at capsizing our wealth, diminish the well-being of our citizens, and establish suzerainty. This time is wise to be cautious on our wealth and welfare. The protection and performance of fundamental rights are balanced by the adherence to duties for the rights to be protected and enjoyed on a full scale. I am confident that the external threat to the sovereignty and integrity of India is being completely managed by those entrusted with protecting the country's territorial integrity, on which we need not bother. Our forces have already proved it, they will do it, and they are going to do it. But there are a few invidious elements in the society about which how we should be careful by adhering to the fundamental duties is one of my ideas. The question that falls for consideration therefore is, with our recent economic advancements, our country must remain vigilant against both internal and external exploitation. While it is important to be conscious of one's rights, it is equally important to perform constitutional duties. The topic is crisp and demanding for an action plan. Through connected efforts of education and dedication, I imagine a scenario of fundamental duties by the citizens as a pious obligation discharged by a responsible son. I do not like to lecture you on what a pious obligation constitutes vis-a-vis Hindu undivided family is. Ours is a family. Our nation is a family. And there is no son, no daughter. But when it comes to constitutional duty, everyone has a pious obligation to take it up and discharge. The country and the society become strong and free from being impervious if these pious obligations are carried forward. Pious obligations, as one of its manifestations, means a holy duty to one's family. We never ask ourselves, what is my holy duty to my country? I do not know how many of we have asked and contributed towards this direction. Why don't we term Article 51A as constitutional pious obligation for the citizens to voluntarily discharge their duties? A right is perceived at different stages. The performance of a duty is essential for an accomplished right to exist and fundamental rights to bear fruit. Without there being the performance of duties, there is no blossom and gloss in the fundamental right we cherish to enjoy. As the study group intends to discuss effectively, I limit my speech to inspiring view to set the tone for debate on fundamental duties across the country. I know you have enough number of chapters in all the states, in all the districts, and one of the ideas I am going to share is, why not you circulate what is our duty, what are our prioritized duties, and how are we taking up in a particular year. Several forces work with invisible cross purposes to deflect development in the name of violation of fundamental rights. If we know what our fundamental duty is, we can certainly tell them whether you are deflecting my fundamental right or you are speaking for my fundamental right. Without speaking on duties enshrined in Article 51A, Clause A, Clause C, Clause D, E, H, and I, let us, for our group discussion, read these clauses and find out whether there is scope for self-regulated behavior by the citizenry. Let us expand the area of operation of these clauses. In other words, give expanded meaning and whether it can be made a way of life of citizenry to relish the fundamental rights by performing the fundamental duties. The learned senior counsel has already enumerated how we can stand within our circle, give 360-degree understanding to various duties envisaged in Article 51A of the Constitution. The obligation to educate the masses through the members is as important as what was important during the national movement starting in 1857. Please do not ignore this circumstance at all. Your wealth is an attractive factor. If you do not have duty-bound citizens, your wealth is not safe in our hands at all. Your welfare is not safe in our hands at all. The 42nd Amendment's insertion of Part 4A established the fundamental duties under Article 51A to underscore that the assertion of rights must be concurrent with the performance of duties. While these duties are not enforceable by a writ of the court, their designation as fundamental affirms they are not subordinate to fundamental rights. How many of we have treated it as my fundamental duty to take up any one of the responsibilities enshrined in Article 51A? By standing in front of a very responsible audience, I can say, as a lawyer, I did it. You can share it with Somayazulu or your chapters from Hyderabad. By standing for the statutory corporations, by standing for the public sector undertakings, I have seen to it that my duty under one or the other head I have successfully discharged it. And it contributed to the growth of the country. It contributed to the growth of the country, one of the steps I have taken. Now comes how a country which has completed 75 years of constitutional experience and also enjoying the fruits of constitution is looking at its centenary in 20. We have completed 75 years, we are looking at what? 2047, centenary celebration. We are going to set a goal for ourselves as to what are we going to accomplish when we reach the 2047 centenary year of our independence for this country. A country survives and progresses in the best way when it protects fundamental rights and relishes performance of the fundamental duties by its citizens. The mere enjoyment of a right may look magnificent, but will lack inherent strength for too long. The fuel lies in fundamental duties, which we are not educating our people while they are asserting for fundamental rights. The mere enjoyment of a right may look magnificent, but will lack inherent strength for too long. In the absence of performance of fundamental duties, I quote the famous Gandhian quote, "The true source of rights is duty. If we all discharge our duties, rights will not be far to seek." Today, I want to challenge you on the battles you are ignoring, the battle for duties. Do we have a cry for battle duties? No. We have cries for fundamental rights. We have cries for so many rights. Why not this forum take it up as a responsibility to give a war cry, even to take forward the fundamental duties? The dilution of fundamental duties has not begun in the Constitution. We all find lame excuses just to have an escape route, saying that Constitution has said it is not mandatory. Agreed, go by the letter and spirit of the book. But the further dilution has begun in our minds. The dilution has begun in our minds when we stop seeing ourselves as co-owners of the republic and start seeing the nation only as a distant service provider. I'm only asking what road is provided, what railway line is given, what telecommunication is given, without asking what duty contribution I have done to my country. A common sense of belonging means that every citizen feels that the Constitution is not an abstract legal document. Dear audience, lawyers do have enormous influence not only on their claims but also on the society. Your way of telling people as to what this fundamental duty will definitely bring harbinger of change in the thinking of people. You, all of you as lawyers, by virtue of your training and position, can either deepen this belonging by their words and conduct or unconsciously contribute to its erosion. The choice we make in our professional lives will decide whether duties remain mere text in Article 51A or become habits of national character. I am known to be a terse speaker. I have no problem. With sufficient care and caution, I have written it. I leave it to the fraternity. Since you have invited me, I can exhort and also I can advise. In this fashion, I am telling you, in whichever direction you want to take our country, it is in your hands. Accepting the semantic position of fundamental duties in our constitution, I would like to commend to you for deliberation that the performance of fundamental duties may not be from the bench, but the bar can walk the path of voluntary performance of the duties. The discipline must start from the doorstep of all of us. In matters of law and legal systems, the advocate is looked at as an example and for inspiration. Let us take up a few fundamental duties from 51A and discuss how by voluntary performance of these duties, we change our society. Let the members of Adhivakta Parishad stand as torch bearers for others to emulate. Why this sentence I have written is, I have seen on a few occasions how your chapters have influenced the lives of tribals, marginalized people, people who could not speak, how you have championed, taken their causes forward in different high courts. This also you can make as part of your effort to further enhance the knowledge of our masses. The discharge of duties by the citizenry will alert the state and its instrumentalities to perform on directive principles for common cause and good. By not adhering to fundamental duties, we are giving good reason to the state to say, directive principles we keep on the same foot, you are keeping fundamental duties. It is in our hands. You can stay in the balance by stepping up the performance. Automatically, directive principles without your asking, either by the executive or the polity and also the judiciary, their perspective will also change about the directive principles. The reason is, if you have to protect 200 crore rupees in 1951, you had a strategy, you had a constitution, you have lived along with the constitution, lived by the constitution. What should be the strategy and contribution of present generation to protect the huge community resources amounting to $4.19 trillion? We have never asked ourselves this question. The time has come to perform fundamental duties and through democratic means demand from the state for enforcement of performance of directive principles. I am repeating, through democratic means demand from the state for enforcement of performance of directive principles. Adhivakta Parishad can conduct debates, discourses, emanate knowledge in performing fundamental duties and change the competitive bar of dialogue in the democracy for the development of the nation. If this community of advocates is able to deepen a sense of belonging to the Constitution, it can inspire a wider culture in which every citizen feels that they truly belong to the Republic and are responsible for its future. Finally, if we, as members of legal fraternity, can embody the spirit of Article 51A in our daily lives by prioritizing in our legal system and the nation, we compel the state to act with greater vigor on the directive principles. This reciprocity between the citizen's duty and the state's obligation is the foundation upon which the next chapter of our development must be written. When the nation celebrates its centenary in the year 2047, citizenry is assured of fundamental rights, volunteers to perform duties, and state reciprocates by covering directive principles of state policy. I am reminded now of a Chinese proverb. Don't teach your son merely how to eat a fish, but teach him how to fish a fish. Fundamental rights and duties are akin to this proverb. We have been only speaking about the rights. We should also teach them how to perform the duties. Circulate soft copies of the fundamental duties to your members and conduct seminars and campaigns for the education and implementation of fundamental duties. Demand same standard from the executive and the polity. Our dreams to be one of the top welfare states in the world can be mutually achieved by all of us. If challenge is accepted and performed, what is left behind for a great nation like Bharat? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your wisdom and enriching this occasion with your insightful and thought-provoking message. I am sure all our guests feel truly blessed to hear your lordship this evening. We have noted all the suggestions and we will definitely act upon them as a part of the Adhivakta Parishad. May I now request Rashmi Singhania ma'am to kindly deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the Adhivakta Parishad Supreme Court Unit.
With heartfelt gratitude and profound respect, I extend our sincere thanks to everyone who made today's event extraordinary. We are deeply honored by the gracious presence of Honorable Mr. Justice S.B.N. Bhatti, Judge, Supreme Court of India, whose illuminating address enriched us immensely. Our gratitude also to Mr. C.S. Vaidyanathan, sir, whose wisdom and guidance continue to inspire us. We bow with respect to Sri Hari Borikar ji, Sangathan Mantri, Mr. D. Bharat Kumar, National General Secretary, and our senior Karyakartas for their unwavering support. My warm appreciation to our dedicated organizing team and this august audience whose presence made this program a grand success. Thank you all for your blessings and encouragement. And now I request everyone to kindly join us for the Rashtragan. जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय
I request everyone to kindly remain seated until our esteemed